I am here with my dear friend Buzz the Bee from Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. You are going to want to keep a close eye on the weather today, am I right? And let me tell you, it's time now for your local weather report, brought to you by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Let's buzz on over to the Main Street Media TV Weather Center.
From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is your weather on Main Street.
Happy Thursday. I'm Kelly Rawson in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. We do have a few lingering showers for southern middle Tennessee for the rest of today, but the thing you'll notice the most are the temperatures. We are going to be significantly cooler for today, starting off in the upper 30s, only getting up into the 40s. Mid 40s at warmest for this afternoon, as the sun will be hard to come by, maybe a few breaks by late afternoon and into the evening as that system eventually clears on out as we dry out as well. But with a clear sky for tonight, we are going to get down very chilly, likely into the upper 20s here in southern middle Tennessee, if not the lower 30s, but I'm thinking below freezing for everybody. So a very chilly night and start to your Friday. Temperatures for Friday afternoon do warm back up into the lower 60s, upper 60s by your Saturday, as we still stay relatively dry. Sunday is our next thunderstorm chance here in the Tennessee Valley as temperatures warm up into the lower 70s, and then we are parked in the mid 60s heading into next week.
Thank you for that update. Tune in each day on Mornings on Main Street for an up-to-date weather report brought to you by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. All of their contact information is below. Have a great day.
Good morning, Stefanie.
Good morning. Hi, kids. A hot tea, please.
Welcome to Mornings on Main Street. I'm your host, Stefanie Miller. Thanks for joining us. So there's no missing the building that's right behind me. This is the historic RCA Studio B on Music Row. It is known as the birthplace for the Nashville sound. It's also the home of 1,000 hits. You've had artists like Dolly Parton and Elvis Presley record right in there. So it's pretty fitting that the Metropolitan Historical Commission for Nashville Music History, part of the Curb Lecture Series, is happening inside of those walls. Well, today I have the pleasure of introducing you to the man who's giving these lectures right now. He is known as a premier historian of country music. He has so much to share with us, and I had the honor of sitting down with him. It is Don Cusic. We will introduce you to him when we come back. He'll share a little bit of music history, country music history, his connection to musicians, to singers and songwriters, his love for country music, and just what we can learn by attending the last part of this lecture series. Stick with us. We'll hear from him in just a few minutes. But first, let's get a check of our headlines.
Hello, here's the latest news and weather from Main Street Media TV. Sean Cardell, Fresh Coat Painters of Clarksville owner, was awarded the Key to Commercial Award at the Fresh Coat Experience Annual Conference, following a 9% increase in his commercial revenue. The Sumner County Board of Education has approved new science textbooks for the district, with implementation set for August, following a comprehensive selection process involving teachers, coaches, school leaders, and parents. The Clarksville Police Department investigates a shoplifting incident at Walmart on Wilmer Rudolph BLBD, where two suspects stole about $25,000 worth of jewelry. Columbia State Community College names Lister Hill Credit Union as an All-American sponsor for Chargers athletic programs, with a $5,000 sponsorship set to enhance student success. Gallatin City employees and volunteers are compiling a searchable database of around 8,000 graves in the Gallatin City Cemetery, inviting public assistance amid challenges posed by incomplete historic records. For more news and weather, visit us online at mainstreetmediatn.com. Thanks for watching.
So Busy Bee is a very close-knit family.
We fight just like every family does. We have arguments, but we always come out with a solution to the problems. We don't just fight about what we want, we fight about what customers need. We want to make sure that every customer we go to is more than satisfied. And that doesn't just start whenever we show up at their door, that starts when we show up every day at work. We want to make sure that we are serving our customers to the best of our ability.
You're seeing the signs too, right?
What signs?
Only in Smashville are opponents welcomed with some good old-fashioned Southern hospitality. We'll give you a hand, cheer you on. Hey, we'll even leave a light on.
Welcome back to Mornings on Main Street. I have the pleasure of sitting in the historic RCA Studio B in Nashville. It's right on Music Row. I have the honor of talking with Dr. Don Cusic.
Thank you, Stephanie.
You are very welcome. Thank you. And just to let you know who Dr. Cusic is, he is not only a historian, he's an author, a songwriter.
Everybody is in Nashville.
No, that is true. He is a man with so much knowledge of country music. And you are leading up this lecture series for Curb Records. And it is talking about the history of Nashville country music. What is it like for you to be the speaker of this series?
Well, it's a real honor because there's no work involved. It's all fun. It's all fun. And, you know, I have to cut myself off because when I start talking, I can go 2.5, 3, 4 hours, you know, with this subject. But it's just, you know, there's a library inside your head, everybody's head. And my library is filled with books on country music and knowledge of country music, and I can't think of a better way to live.
Where did this start for you? Because again, and we're going to get to the lecture series. You still have a few more lectures to go before it ends. And you can be a part of this for $10. You can come and hear Dr. Cusic. But I'd like to know, where did your love for country music begin?
Well, let's start with a little old plastic radio in my house that was on. And we had a local station, WKIK. And it was one of those, it was a time before it wasn't top 40. It was they would play a certain show and then they'd play another show, and they played country at noontime, dinner time. They played rock and roll 3 o'clock after you got out of school. But I just always loved country, and then later got in a band. Everybody's got to be in a band at some time. And we were young guys doing country music. So that made us different because all the other young guys, they're playing rock and roll. And we played country, which means we played for a lot of old folks.
Now, you're in the band. What instrument did you play or did you sing?
I played guitar.
Guitar, okay.
I wouldn't call it singing.
I can almost picture you now chipping away at the guitar there. So move forward many, many years. And I didn't mention you're also a professor at Belmont University, which is a university known for music and for producing artists, songwriters. But moving forward, you got your foot in the door in 1973, the Country Music Association, correct? What was that like for you at that time, and what was that excitement inside of you?
Well, I moved to town and lived in my van. I had a VW van. I built a bed in the back, and that's where I lived. And so I was kind of homeless. Some people took me in, and I got to sleep on some couches. But going from homeless to CMA, all of a sudden, I have access to the top people in the country music industry, the executives. And then I moved from CMA on to Record World, where I'm writing about it. It was a trade magazine. And trade magazines were very important because they were the link between the record company and the consumer, or the retailer, I should say. And so consequently, once again, then I could had access to all of these top artists. And so that's because of a background in journalism and because of a background in writing, that kind of moved along in that direction.
Who was that first interview for you that I guess changed you a little bit?
Billy Joe Shaver. He was, well, maybe Tom T. Hall. Tom T. Hall played Cookeville, and I was living in Cookeville, working for a newspaper there. Tom T. Hall, and then Billy Joe Shaver. Billy Joe Shaver would answer a question by shaking his head, yes or no.
I love those people, no.
So it was a little difficult,
yeah.
but that, you know, what you learn is that they're humans, and they're going to read what you write. They're going to, they can be very friendly. You can catch them on a bad day, but they need you, or at least they need that outlet. They needed the CMA, or they needed the record roll coverage, and so it put me in a very privileged position early on.
Privileged enough that you were able to write 30 plus books. Your name on now 30 plus books. What's the latest book that you have that'll come out that we can get, and where can we find your other books?
Well, good old Amazon. That's always, you've always got Amazon. I saw Elvis and Country Music book or Elvis and Nashville book at the Hall of Fame, Country Music Hall of Fame. I've got a new one coming out on Chet Atkins. And because we are sitting in what they call the house that Chet built. And he played behind Hank Williams. And that'll be out June 1st. And so we're going to have an opening here, I think. I
have to say, coming in the RCA Studio B, it smells of history. You know what I mean? Like it just has that, you can tell it's been around a long time.
You can tell people sweated in.
That's the best way to put it. And I ask all of these to lead up to this lecture series and the fact that you're the speaker up here because the knowledge that you have is outstanding. What can people learn when they come in and they sit in one of these chairs?
Well, it helps to have a little background, you know, that you know some basics. But you know, just sitting here breathing the air, I mean, you are living in history. You are living in a place that has touched your life because of all the songs that have done here. I mean, if you liked Elvis, if you liked the Everly Brothers, if you liked Jim Reeves, Eddie Arnold, oh, the list just goes on and on. They recorded in this studio, and the records are released and somewhere in Iowa, and somebody's listening to it.
What do you want people to walk away with when they do leave here after hearing you?
Oh, a gift item would be nice.
I like that.
You know, the memory. The memory. Actually, they don't have gift items here. They have them down at the Hall of Fame. They've got plenty. But really just the experience. I mean, it's a rare treat when somebody can drive to Nashville, especially on the west side of the country, get to Nashville and walk these streets and see these buildings and see these studios and see the Country Music Hall of Fame and the Musicians Hall of Fame. And you're just soaked into music. What happens, you asked me what I played. I used to say I played guitar, but when you get to Nashville, you don't say that anymore.
What do you say?
Well, I say not really. You know, if you're in Iowa, you can say you play the guitar, but of course I hardly pick it up now, but the level of talent in here is so great. And people, and I had a student one time sitting in my office crying, and she said, you know, where I grew up, I played the guitar. Nobody else played the guitar. I wrote songs. Nobody else wrote songs. And now I get here, and everybody plays the guitar and writes songs. And what she didn't say was that everybody was a whole lot better than she was. And so, you know, this business will teach you lessons.
It's a hard realization. Yeah. And I say that coming from the world of media and journalism. You know, only so many people make it. Only so many people, in our case, either get to work at a paper or get to work at a news station. Only so many people make it past Broadway. How do you comfort a student like that? Or how do you share with your students who sit in your classroom to let them know this might be as good as it gets?
Well, you can't tell people. You can't tell people nothing, you know? and they have to find it out for themselves, and an audience will tell them. Audience will tell them pretty quickly. if they're a performer. And that's what I say, what can I do? I say, get in front of a crowd, get in front of people, and they'll let you know. Now, after they let you know, maybe they let you know some bad news, and some people, fold up their tent and go home, and others, it gives them an impetus. Everybody has to have encouragement. Sometimes negative encouragement is a way to light a fire in somebody. As far as the executives, I mean, we've got some good schools around. We got MTSU,
yes.
We got Belmont. And so if you want to be an executive in the music industry or a worker who's not a musician, you got plenty of opportunities because that's a lot of office skills.
And you never know where life's going to take you. And I would say positive or negative, any experience, it's really priceless, especially in the music business, in that industry. For someone who has that talent, how do you help to cultivate that? How do you help to push them forward?
Well, listen and words of encouragement. So it's a way to give, because it doesn't cost you anything, encouragement, and it's a multiplier factor with somebody else. So that's when you do give them, right after they get to town, there's nothing you can say. They've got to find out for themselves. But after that, because I have classes, teach classes, talk to people, talk to parents, talk to students, and you lay it out, but you also don't say it's impossible because there's been some unlikely successes. Yeah. And so you don't ever shut the door, but you let them know that sometimes the crack is just a little.
What sort of legacy, Dr. Cusic, would you like to leave?
Well, I liked what Dolly Parton once said. What do you want people to say about you 100 years from now? And she said, well, I hope they say she sure looks good for her age. So maybe that's what I'm hoping for, that I sure look good for my age.
Is there a book that you would still like to write or someone you'd like to interview and talk with that you haven't yet?
I've been real lucky. My three big influences musically have been Hank Williams, Roger Miller, and the Beatles. And I've written books on all of them. A book on Johnny Cash, Chet Atkins. I interviewed Chet Atkins, but I never did a real in-depth interview with him.
Thank you so very much. Okay, talking about the series once again. So I am joining you on a night where you're getting ready to talk about Hank Williams.
Yes.
What will people learn tonight about Hank Williams that we may not know?
Well, it's called a Hank Williams era. Okay. It's all, Hank Williams was not alone by himself.
Okay.
What I learned when I was doing the first book on Hank was that I thought he just stood alone way above everybody else in terms of success. And I learned that Eddie Arnold was the guy who sold the most records, who had the most financial success, but he wasn't self-destructive. And so he died a multimillionaire and had a string of hits. Hank outlived his life. But that whole, what else was going on when Hank Williams was at the height? Who were the other singers? Who were the other players? What were they singing about? Remember, this is coming out of World War II into very early 50s. It's before rock and roll hit.
What's coming after Hank Williams Jr.? What will finish out your series?
Well, I'm going to do the Nashville Sound because that's an extension of Hank Williams. They're trying to correct rock and roll for that. I'm going to do Bob Dylan and Johnny Cash because that's a fascinating grouping right there. And I'm going to do the Beatles and country music because the Beatles have a lot of country music in them. They didn't realize it at that. Ringo did. Ringo was always a big country fan. But if you listen to some of their songs, it's heavily influenced. When they first auditioned in Manchester for this kind of talent show for the BBC, the guy wrote that, held the audition, wrote not so rock and blues, more country western. So they picked it up early on.
I'm going to have to snag my seat for that one for sure. After this series is over, because again, this will wrap up, will you do another one in the future? Will Curb Records have you do another series?
Probably, I hope so. The thing about the fall, the schedule gets so crowded in the fall, but, kind of take it, to see if who shows up, see if anybody's interested. I've been surprised how many people are interested. Mike Curb is the one who thought I should do it. And I'm thinking, anybody going to show up for this? You know, in class, they don't want to come. So, but I've been surprised.
I love that. I love hearing that. Again, the series that will have all that information for you once we come back from break. So do stick around. I'll have where you can go to find the rest of the series. Again, $10 ticket to get your seat in this house into the historic RCA Studio B. Last question for you.
Yes.
We all like our different genres of music. For those who may not be a country music fan, what are they missing out on? What don't we know or what they might not realize about country music?
They're missing the common touch, the average person. You know, a lot of us, we want to be special. We want to be, you know, stand out, and that's good. That's worthy. But you know, it's what the salt of the earth. How do they think? How do they relate? I think that's what the story of the average guy is the story of country music. So,
the average guy.
The average guy. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for your time. It has been an honor just talking with you, Dr. Don Cusic. Really, I appreciate this.
Well, it's been great sitting here.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, stick with us here at Mornings on Main Street. As I mentioned, when we come back, I'll have all the information that you need to come and be a part of this lecture series.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
Step into the Lionel retail store at Opry Mills, Nashville, and you'll be captivated by all the magic of the 123-year history of Lionel trains. Whether you're already a train enthusiast or just getting started, Lionel will energize your love for trains. NASCAR fan? Come check out your local Lionel station to learn all there is to know about model trains and die-cast NASCAR collectibles. Visit nashville.lionel.com or call 615-455-9399.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
So, you want to be a part of the Busy Bee team, huh? Well, how do you see yourself fitting into the organization? Oh, I get it. You want to be a weather bee.
Welcome back. The Nashville Music History Curb Lecture Series will continue on the 26th of this month with the Nashville Sound. On April 16th, the lecture is all about Johnny Cash and Bob Dylan. And then on April 23rd, you have the Beatles and country music. Each ticket is $10, and the fee for that ticket will go back to support the Nashville Historical Foundation. Thanks again for joining us here at Mornings on Main Street. Have a fantastic Friday. We'll see you back here on Monday.